Everybody, welcome back. I am trying something slightly different here by standing outside. So if you can't bear the background noise, I apologize. And maybe you can get through this if you're interested in what exactly is bicycle touring and what do I think are 5 areas that you should think about if you are going on your very first bike tour. First, I'm going to answer what is bicycle touring exactly? Where do you go on a bicycle tour? What bicycle should you bring or ride? How should you dress? And what gear should you bring on a bicycle tour? This video is simply meant to be like a quick snapshot of those 5 things, because each of those 5 things I plan to go into a more in-depth video for you to go along. I do want to share a little bit about myself as I do these videos. I'm Matt. I live in Beijing, China. I am in the northeast of Beijing. July 13th, 2020. The coronavirus is going on in the world. I'm sort of stuck in Beijing. There's a lot up in the air with our life here in China. On top of like sharing bike touring things, I want to just share what's going on with me here in China, because I feel like that could be an interesting aspect of what's my videos, you know? Yeah, so what exactly is bike touring? Bicycle touring is basically a combination of riding your bike and backpacking. If you are familiar with backpacking, it's gonna make your life bicycle touring pretty easy.
Because it's like the exact same thing except you're riding a bike.
And on top of it being very similar to backpacking, you don't really, now there's mixed opinions on this, you don't really need to worry about weight on a bicycle tour like you do on a backpacking trip. So that's kind of a positive to bicycle touring as to backpacking. When you're on a bicycle tour, now there's different like subcategories of bicycle touring. The main one is bike packing. I would say bicycle touring is classified slightly differently in that on a bicycle tour, most of the time you're on roads, you're on pavement. Of course, I encourage you, and I'll get into this, to get off main roads and to do more like trails like this that you're looking at. And I wanted to see, this is partly why I didn't get to see it until you did. I want to share this because you're gonna see just a little bit of like a little slice of Beijing here with the people that are riding their bikes and their scooters, and there's a tuk-tuk like inching up to me. We'll get to that. Bicycle tourings are generally defined as going on roads and some gravel, some dirt, but not so much single track as would a bike packer.
Oh, you're kidding me, packer! Yes!
I kind of want to touch on 3 aspects of bike touring that 3 ways to do bike touring. There's more than 3, but if you are brand new, you might consider one of these 3 options for your bike tour. You can go completely self-supported. It means you bring everything with you on your bike, and you're camping most of the time. You're cooking some of your meals or most of your meals because you're bringing cookware, you're bringing a tent, you're bringing a sleeping bag. This option is good for people that are a little bit more adventurous, for people that are on a budget, because it's much cheaper to camp and to cook your own food. So it's called a self-supported bike tour. The second option is, I would call a credit card tour. So this is, you're going on your own, but you're spending a lot more money because you're deciding that you are gonna stay in hotels or motels or hostels, and you're gonna buy all your meals. Now, if you do this entirely, like if you don't plan to camp at all, of course, you can do a combination of those 2 things, which I've always done. I don't cook every single meal. I don't camp every single night, especially on long tours. But if you don't even want to camp at all and you don't want to cook at all, you can carry a lot less stuff if it's concerning you, or you're just not sure you want to invest a lot of money in things, if you haven't been a backpacker and you don't own the tent, the sleeping bag, the pad, and the cooking gear that you would need to do more of a self-supported style, the credit card tour, you sleep in hotels and motels and hostels, and you go out and you buy all your meals at restaurants and whatever, diners. You could even get meals though in convenience stores. You don't have to be at a restaurant. But it's called a credit card tour because you're swiping your card most of the time. And the third option is you pay, this is the most expensive option, is you hire a company. And again, if money isn't an issue for you and you want just extreme comfort and ease and you don't want to plan the whole thing, worry about where you're sleeping, worry about the distance, worry about getting all the gear, there are companies all over the place that can help you do a bike tour without all that stuff. And that's a supported bike tour. Just Google, internet search the location you want to go, type in bicycle touring company or something like that. You're going to find people that are willing to outfit you, plan for you, depending on where you go. But really almost everywhere in the world now has tours, and that's another option. A driving factor is, are you sure you want to get into this? If you are not sure and you have a little bit of money because you're just at that stage in your life where you have some money, maybe try the supported version. If you don't have a lot of money and you already have some of this gear, I would go the self-supported route. The credit card tour is another one that, again, it's more catered to people that I would say are probably retired, probably in the middle of their life, or they just are banking money as a young person somehow, and you have time off somehow, and you don't mind spending the money. Again, there's always a combination of the first two. So that's what I've always done. I get a little tired of sometimes sleeping in the tent when I do long tours. But I've also done a short week-long tour where I didn't stay at all in a hotel because it was a week, and you know that. But mentally, when you're going on maybe a month or longer tour, you want to break it up, and you have, a little bit extra money to do that. It's up to you. All right, so where do you go? I think there's 3 things to consider on where do you want to go. How much time do you have? How many miles do you think you can do? And before I even go any further, start slow is my main advice here, and don't try to go more than 50 miles in the beginning. Like 50 miles might even be pushing it. So aim at the absolute most to go 50 miles. And if you have more time and you can just enjoy like the riding part, I would aim to go between like 30 and 50 on the first days. It takes about 3 days before you're like, I can do this mentality comes in, and you want to take a couple of days of easing into it. If you push it too hard, too fast, you're likely to injure yourself, you're likely to not have a good time, and you're likely to doubt your ability to be able to do it. So my advice for your first time on where do you want to go is look for established routes. If you're going to the United States, there's adventure cycling, and there's a lot of different tours around the United States you can find. And if you're going to Europe, there's these Eurovelos, which are sort of established depending on which one. That will just kind of make it easier on your life in terms of not having to just guess, and also it'll steer you toward less developed roads. So look for established routes. On top of that, try to avoid busy roads as much as possible. Sometimes you don't know before your trip, but there's so many different blogs out there and threads and places you can go these days. Just do a quick Google search. There's Facebook groups of where you want to go in bicycle touring, and you will get help through the internet on where to go that isn't super busy. And lastly, start slow. Start slow. Start slow. Even if you feel like you got this, just go slow in the beginning. 50 miles is a good day. And so if you think you're experienced, 50 miles. If you think you don't know what 50 miles is even going to feel like, aim at 30 miles in your first day. It's fine. Stop, enjoy lunch, rest, get to camp early, and just chill and let your body recuperate. And then the next day you'll have more information about what you can do, and go for it. Go more than that if that's like me.
Nah, come on, man. I can do way more than 30 miles in a day.
And I know you can, but I'm saying start slow. What bicycle should you take on your bicycle tour? I want to just start off by saying you can go on any bicycle, really. But there are a few things that are nice to have if it's available and you have a chance to get them. You're gonna probably want to carry panniers if you're going bicycle touring. Those are the bags that go on the bike. If you're just beginning, you can probably get away with, you don't necessarily, again, if it's a short trip, you don't need to have all four, but you want to have a bike rack to hold those panniers. So in order to do that, there has to be the eyelets and the seat stay mounts, like it has to be drilled into the frame in order to support a bike rack. So look for that on your bike in order to know for sure that you can mount a rack. There are a few ways around that. You can have like a clamp on your frame if you don't have those screws in the top. And that's a way to get a bike rack on a bike that doesn't have it. Most mountain bikes have those screws if you just have a mountain bike. And if you just have a road bike, that's going to be a little bit trickier. Most likely, you're not most likely going to have supports for a bike rack in the back of your bike. So again, there's ways around this, but that's something you want to consider. Another thing I would consider is handlebars. Just make sure that you have handlebars that are comfortable, that have, I would say at least have like horns or bar ends that, if you have a flat handlebar, that give you the option of different ways to hold your hands. It's just going to be more comfortable that way. And the third thing I would consider, if you can, is the wheels that you have. So you want to have good, strong wheels, if possible. 36 rims. The reason being, you're going to have weight on your bike more than just your own body, and it's possible that you can end up with broken spokes and things like that if you don't have the proper rims that can support a lot of weight. The last thing I will touch on, if you're going a bike touring route, most bike tours agree that you're not worrying about weight on a bike tour. So steel is sort of the best thing. It can dent, it can slightly bend, and you can bend it back if something bad happens. I have a dent in mine from shipping. It's not broken, it's fine. And it can just take the wear and tear of a long distance bike tour, and possibly the flying much safer if you are flying somewhere with your bike. Okay, how should you dress? I really recommend you dress comfortably. You do not need to look like a bicyclist. Don't let that stop you. Don't think I gotta have the whole outfit and that's the only way I'm gonna be taken seriously on a bike tour. In fact, you're gonna probably look a little more foolish if that's the case. I still wear padded shorts, even though I have a Brooks saddle, and many people say they don't need to. If it's long distance tour, I don't know, you don't need to necessarily, but the only bike touring related thing that I could say you might want to have are the padded shorts. I like to wear long sleeve. I like to wear shorts over my padded shorts. There are times when I use clipped pedals, and we'll get into this stuff. This is a little bit more advanced, and definitely opinionated people are going to say one way or the other whether you should clip in or not clip in. But I have the shoes that nobody knows I have clipped in shoes. All right, you can walk in the store, it doesn't click, click, clack, and you're good to go. So that's my recommendation. Be comfortable and versatile. So you can wear clothes that you can wear into town, you can wear into a restaurant and feel comfortable and nice and whatever. Clothing definitely don't hold you back. You got the clothing already probably. All right, lastly, the main gear that you need is very dependent on the type of tour that you're going on. If you're not camping, you don't need the tent, and you don't need the sleeping bag, and you don't need the pad and the pillow. And if you're not planning to cook your own food, you don't need all the cook gear. So at the minimum, I would say the panniers to carry a rain jacket and some snacks. I recommend you have lights on your bike, because I think safety is the number one thing in a bicycle tour. And I like to wear reflector stuff, but you know, do your thing. So. All right, so I think that's it. The other thing on clothing I would recommend is avoiding cotton. This is something that backpackers, people that go hiking already know, but cotton gets soaking wet, doesn't dry out, and in colder conditions makes you feel really cold if it gets wet. So, and again, if you're doing a tour, you're most likely going to want to wash your clothes every few nights, maybe by hand, depending on the tour, if you don't have access to washing machine and dryer, and cotton takes forever to dry. So synthetic stuff, lightweight stuff that dries quickly is probably your best bet. Or wool is good in colder weather. All right, that was it. That was a big snapshot of the 5 things I think every new bicycle tourer should at least think about. I know this was a snapshot and not the full picture, but I'll get into more detail on each of these so that you feel more prepared if you are thinking about embarking on your first bicycle tour. You can do this. Anybody can do this. It's awesome, and that's why I'm here talking about it. There's insects everywhere making noises. I don't know how loud that is on the microphone, but hey, this is Beijing, sort of, kind of. I'm by a river. Welcome. I'm going to take you around a little bit now and then on my bike, and very shortly there'll be a new addition to the Living on Spokes family, and hopefully she will also be able to show you a little bit about what bike touring is like if you do have kids. All right, I'm rambling, I'm talking. It's time for me to go. Peace. Maybe I'll take you for a walk. I got 6 minutes of footage left.